You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Shine, go ahead and shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling, go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to a Turn of Events podcast, where we help put a positive spin on the future of your business. My name is Annette Naif. I'm the CEO and creative director of Naif Productions. We are a strategic wedding and event planning company based in New York City, but we do events globally. We specialize in corporate, social, nonprofit, and weddings. I'm also running a Facebook group for wedding and event planners who are looking to start their own business or struggling in their current business. So many great people on there, wedding and event planners, collaborating, learning all kinds of stuff. We talk about mindset, and I teach as much as I can in there. So you must join us in my Facebook group, Event Planner Society. Don't miss out. It's a great place to be. So I'm really excited about my next guest, Maria Bayer. We are going to talk about mastering the art of high value bookings. I love this topic. It's a great topic. So Maria Bayer is a leading sales and mindset strategist for wedding and event professionals who want to book next level clients and scale their businesses to multi 6 and 7 figures. She teaches a modern sales approach that empowers clients to connect authentically, command top dollar, and achieve rapid results. Her clients often see a 2 to 10 times sales increase within a year, transforming both their business and their belief in what's possible. I'm very excited to have Maria with us. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, Annette, for inviting me.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about this. So, first of all, why don't you tell me a little bit more about your background? We can dive into that so everybody can get to know you a little better.
Sure. So I actually started out in something completely unrelated. So I was in finance.
Okay.
I'm a numbers girl. So as you know, and you know from being in this industry for a while that people took a very, varied path to get into the wedding business. So
Yeah.
I'm not unlike them. And I started in finance and then at some point decided, I really want to make more money. So, and the only thing I could think of at that point was I need to get into sales because I knew that people in sales made a lot more money than your traditional person that worked in a corporation. So long story short, that's a story for another day, but I found a job in software. And at that time, I don't want to date myself, but at the time I was like, what's software? And I don't know anything about sales, but I was lucky enough to get into a company where the person that hired me said, I can teach you how to sell. I just need somebody that knows finance because I was selling financial software. So they just needed somebody that understood that language and can talk to a CFO. And that was me. So he taught me. And thankfully, I went into that business because it really changed the trajectory of my life. It changed what was possible for me. And I was able to learn that through sales and selling in a way that felt good to me, I could actually make a lot of money. And it helped me become a millionaire before I was probably 40. So
That's amazing.
Yes. And it's something that once you learn how to sell, there's no limit to what you can do. And that's why I'm so passionate about this and why I want my clients to really embrace this, because the sooner they do, the sooner they make more money.
Yeah, I know. I get very excited about that too. I know I've had my business for over 30 years. Well, I've had my business for 15 years, but I've been in the industry for over 30 years. So it feels like the same, but it's so different running your own business. And so when I first started the business, I had no idea, how to run it, how to talk to the clients, my pricing, obviously, that was a mess. I mean, my first client, I made a negative $57.
Oh
After I figured it all out. I mean, I literally just paid them to be there, but that's okay. You learn, and those are funny stories that you talk about later on, as long as you don't keep doing that. That's,
exactly
for a good idea. So I was always just so nervous about that whole process. So I'm really excited. And, since then, I just feel like being natural, and I'm sure we're going to get into that. But I can't wait to hear how, what your thoughts are on all of that, and I'll share mine as well. But once I made changes in being so nervous, and you have to practice. It takes time to really be authentic and natural and not be afraid to talk about the money, because that's a big deal. The money is scary for everybody. Okay. So you're known in the industry for your unique approach to sales and mindset. Can you share more about your philosophy and how you help wedding pros step into the next level market?
Sure. So my philosophy is really rooted in quality over quantity. Most of my clients really want to focus on having maybe a handful of clients, maybe 7, 8, 9 clients, sometimes even less. So it's not about quantity I can teach you how to sell anything, but that's not really our philosophy. We really want to attract clients that feel good, that we want to work with, that give us creative freedom, and that, give us referrals down the road. So we want to build that kind of business, because in our industry, especially, people get into it because of the creative expression and because they have a passion for what they do. And so just booking a client for the sake of paying your bills, that's something that they do maybe in the beginning, but it's not something that they want to do forever. So our philosophy is rooted in really having conversations with clients and really being able to communicate our value in a way that helps them see why you're worth more and have them book you quickly without chasing, without endless follow-ups. There's lots of philosophies on how to sell, and they're not necessarily good or bad. It's just what feels good to you, and what feels good to me and my clients is not chasing, right?
Yeah.
Not pushing. I feel it gives your power away. Right. I feel that negotiating gives your power away, and that chasing gives your power away. So we we focus on creating a sales process that helps build value, that it helps build a sense of urgency, it helps qualify, right? Because the higher you charge, the more you have to qualify and make sure that person's an ideal client for you and that they can afford you. And that when you do that in your sales process from day one, it doesn't feel salesy because you're teaching your client how to work with you. You're gently guiding them through your process. And that's something that as you try to aspire to get to a more luxury audience, they're going to expect you to lead them. Right.
Yes,
and I think people are afraid of that, but that's what they want. They're hiring you for your expertise and they expect that.
That's the most, I coach wedding and event planners on how to start their own business. So I say that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I learned that they're hiring me as a professional. And
Mm-hmm.
when I learned that I need to say, okay, this is how we run our business. This is the systems that we have in place. And obviously we do corporate as well and nonprofit. So that gets a little tricky. There's always like internal systems and all of that. But it's a little, so it's a little crazy running all of that. But when you're doing weddings, you should be saying, this is the system we follow.
Yes.
And, these are our prices. And this is why we charge this. This is why it's going to take, this amount of hours and this many people and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you said, not teaching them how you work is what's really, really important. And the minute I started doing that, it changed how I thought, confidence, and we're going to probably mention this word a million times, is everything, even if you're faking it. Once I realized that, like, I'm just natural, I'm just going to be myself. I'm not going to try to sell, like, whatever that means. I didn't even know what selling meant. Like, because I was never really a salesman or a salesperson, but, you kind of are always selling in your life.
You are, absolutely, hands down.
Yeah. So once I learned that, I love getting on a sales call. I mean, I get excited because I'm watching them respond to all the things that I'm telling them. And I get excited when I talk about their wedding, or their event. So my excitement brings excitement to them. So that's just a tip too, is show them get excited, like it's your wedding or like it's your event.
Yes.
So I think that's really key. So that's really, really awesome advice. So what's the biggest myth a wedding pros believe about selling that keeps them stuck at their current level? And how can they shift their mindset to break into the luxury market?
Oh, I love this question. I think there's a few things, but in general, I think most people go into this business, right, because they have the passion. And they go into business thinking, okay, I'll just see what I can charge. I'll base on what everybody else is charging. Right. And they believe that there needs to be like this linear approach to their sales and what they can charge. And, I've got to wait to charge this much because so-and-so in my area has more experience than me, et cetera. But it really limits you. It really, really limits you. And what you think you can charge is really only limited by what you're seeing other people charge, right? And you can't base your fees on what other people are charging and what other people believe is their worth, right? So if you learn how to communicate your value, first of all, one of my mantras that I instill in my clients is the more value you build, the more money your client will pay. So value is the very first thing, and the core thing that we teach my clients is, how do you communicate value? You're not selling features. You're not selling a list of services. You're selling your value, how you can help them, right? And when you learn how to do that, you don't have to just charge $500 more next year and then $500 more the year after that. And if you really want to get into booking 5-figure clients and luxury clients, you have to realize you're not your client. And what you think is expensive is pocket change to them. And when I see people saying, I'll just raise it 500, I'll raise it 250, or I'll raise it 1,000, that's nothing to them, right?
Yeah. That almost
so much
values you, right?
Right.
It takes the value of what you're worth and all of that. They're going to want to pay that. Like, if you're dealing with people with these type of budgets, they're expecting to pay that amount. So they're going to be like, why is she cheaper? Why is she so cheaper? deeper, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because people, when you're trying to go into that next level, especially if it's levels above where you are financially, you have to remember that they think differently than you do, right? So what you think is a lot is not a lot to them. What you buy on and what you value is different than what they value. Right. And if they're coming to you, they value what you do. They value planning. They value floral design. They value photography or videography, whatever it is. They value that. And you have to understand that there's a certain price point that they're willing to pay for that. It's just like, I use this example a lot, but I feel like it's something that everybody can relate to, is if you go to a Louis Vuitton store or a Gucci store, there's a certain process that they take you through, right? That you have to make an appointment, and you do not expect their handbags to be $250, right? If you saw one on sale for that amount, you'd be like, what's wrong with it? It must be like 17 seasons old or something, or it must be broken or something's wrong with it, right? There's a perception of value that's associated with price, right or wrong. It is, and that's why the psychology behind it is really important. And that's one of the things that I teach my clients, is understanding that psychology, because that's what's going to serve you. When you understand how your client thinks, then it makes it so much easier for you to raise your prices. And when you learn how to sell, there's no limit to what you can charge. I mean, I've got a client that came on one of my webinars recently, and she just casually threw out, "Oh, I just booked a $75,000 client."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, would you like to say it louder for the people in the back? You just booked a $75,000 client. Most people today are doing full service, for example, for under $10,000.
And that means their fee was 75, not the wedding.
Correct.
Right. Yes. That's a big difference.
Yes.
Big difference. Yes. So I just want to back up for 1 second on this for those who might not know, like, am I ready to go to luxury? What is luxury? What is considered, like, just the levels of where that would take them? Can you just kind of touch on that so they understand what we're talking about?
Sure. There's all kinds of discussion on what constitutes luxury, right? Everybody's got different thresholds for it. Yeah. I look at it just from the perspective of, my clients on average want to book 5-figure clients, right? They're not even in the 4 figures, they're in the 5 figures. 5-figure in New York City, as you can attest to, and that is probably not luxury, right? So it depends on the area that you're in to some extent. But luxury can be a client that pays you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, right? But there's so much room in between where people are and where true luxury really starts. And that's my point with my clients, is there's so much room for you to get from here to here. And if you're not booking clients at this level consistently at your top package, you're going to be stuck there indefinitely. It doesn't matter. I don't care how beautiful your portfolio is. I can show you tons of starving artists that do beautiful work. But once that client comes to your door and you don't know how to take them through an elevated process and communicate your value, and if you're not priced appropriately, right? If you're not priced high enough, you will lose that client. So it's not just about having a pretty portfolio. It's a lot more than that.
Plus, you're going to be miserable. So because I do coach, it breaks my heart when someone comes to me and says, well, I charged them $3,000. I'm like, $3,000? What are you doing? Like, I'm like, that's insane. I mean, even 5,000 is, I don't care where you live. There's so many hours that go into a wedding. It's ridiculous. And on site, and then the hand holding that you're dealing with. So it breaks my heart when people are charging this. Yes. It's crazy. So I am a big advocate for, trying to teach everybody, like, how to charge your services, what to think about. Don't undervalue what you're worth. Even if you're just starting out, like, look, I took everything when I started, and I admit that I charged, and after I figured it all out, I was a negative $57 an hour. But you have to start somewhere, right? And you learn. So if you're learning, but you keep doing it, and if you are booking, 30, 40, 50 weddings a year, you need to increase your prices.
Absolutely.
Because the demand is there, and you're okay if you are only doing, I mean, it would feel so much better to do, 15 or 20 weddings a year. Like now I'm just like doing, the small amount of events now, because of course I've been doing this a long time and I'm looking at retirement, but and I say that, but I'm sure I won't. But it really, I just don't want to work that much anymore. And I want to make more, and work less.
Exactly.
Right? That's the smart way to do it, and the mindset. So mindset is everything. I know you are so big on that, and I am too. I just love to talk about that, because I'm definitely, it feels like every other call I have with my coaching clients, I have to pull them off a ledge and get their, like, I don't know if I can do this, and this is making me nervous. And so, I bring them back down, and by the end of the call, they're like, I feel so much better talking to you. And community is everything. So you really should surround yourself with community, because that's what kept me going and kept me sane. So we'll talk more about that. So many wedding pros fear feeling pushy when they sell, especially when trying to raise their rates. How do you teach them to sell authentically while commanding premium prices?
Yeah, this is so near and dear to my heart, because I remember when I first started in sales, I looked around at the people that I was selling with, and a lot of my colleagues were men. Most of them were men, actually, if I'm being honest. And they sold in a very different way than I did. And I went to my manager at the time, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I'm not built that way. I'm not wired that way. I wasn't raised that way. My father's not that way. And he's been in sales all of his life, and he's an introvert, and like, he's the antithesis of what you think of when you think of a salesperson, And I said, I cannot do that. Do I have to be that way to be successful? And he's like, no, Maria, you are so good with people. You're so good at connecting with people. You should leverage that, and you can leverage that to be successful. You don't have to schmooze. You don't have to be, salesy or pushy, like what you perceive other people doing. That might work for them, and that's great. But I guess I had that belief that there was only one way to sell, and it meant like compromising my values, compromising who I was, and being somebody I'm not. And if you've worked with me for even a second, you know that what you see is what you get. Like, I am very transparent and very, and so that's the way I teach. That's the way I sell. That's the way I teach. And that's what my clients like. So being authentic is really important. But then also our philosophy is, I don't want to just give you like a spiel, throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. That's very old school. And that never felt good to me. So we talk about how to have a conversation, how to ask really pointed and important questions that dig in and draw out of that person. How do I ask a question in a way that I connect with them and draw out what's important? Because that's the gold for me as the person that they're coming to. I want to be able to tailor what I offer to their needs. And so I want to be really listening to what they're saying. And when you listen, it's predicated by asking really good questions, right? So I teach my clients that you build value and differentiate yourself, not just in how you talk about what you do, but in the questions you ask, the process that you take them through. All of that makes you stand out, differentiates you, helps you build value. It does so many things all at the same time. So that's our method of being authentic. Is I'm going to ask you specific questions that nobody else is asking. And then I'm going to really listen to what you say and be able to tell, if I'm a good fit for you, right? Because sometimes what you hear, they may not be a good fit. And it's important for you to be able to express that. But then to tailor what you offer to their specific needs. And that is being a consultant, right? That's really being somebody that's giving them, you're taking more of a consulting approach, right, than a sales approach.
Yeah, which I'm doing so much more of that now. I'm actually leaning into this consulting with clients who have big events. They have a team, and they're contacting me to consult on, all of the money stuff and the, sleeping room blocks and all of that stuff that come along with that. I do a lot of that. So I love it though, because I don't have to do the work, but I'm getting paid great money to consult, and I'm having fun doing it. So that's a whole other piece that you can do. But I want to talk about what you said about asking the questions. thoughtful questions, and just doing that alone is going to show them you
Mhm.
know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You know all about this. You've been down this road, and you can have a list. Listen, I had a list of questions that I looked at. I would pull the form out and I would do it for, a good couple years. I would have that form. Now I don't need to do that because I've been doing millions of them. But you got to be prepared and ask those thoughtful questions. And really what's important too is asking what they don't want. Listen to the things that they really don't want, because if they don't want yellow, don't bring them a proposal or a design deck with yellow in it. Like that's
Exactly.
you've got to really pay attention, write down all the things that they say. And that's it. Listening to what they say is really, really important.
Absolutely.
I ask my questions and then I sit back and I let them, they're going to spew. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep talking about everything that they want. So that's, it's really, really great advice. So many wedding pros feel stuck during the slow seasons. And I know that right now, even all of my colleagues who've been in this for a long time, it's slow right now.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it has to do with the slowness of, the craziness that happened after COVID, and now things are starting to slow down. I don't know if the election year has anything to do. Like, we're all trying to figure out like what exactly is it. It's going to pick up again. It always does.
Yeah.
This is just a time, and everyone's feeling this. So if you're feeling this too, don't feel alone. It is out there. So many of the pros are feeling stuck during slow times, especially when aiming to attract high-end clients. Why is this the ideal time to invest in sales skills to break into the luxury market?
This is really good because we had a similar period in 2020 when there were no events going on, right?
Correct. We all shut down.
Everybody shut down. And my famous line is, well, everyone else was binge watching Tiger King. My clients that came to me focused their downtime, right? When no money was coming in, right? When the world was upside down.
Yep.
And they focused that time when everybody else was panicking. They said, you know what, it's going to come back. And that's what I predicted too. I said, I promise you when it comes back, because none of us had lived through a pandemic before,
I know.
Right. But I have lived through many market downturns. Right.
Yeah.
And we know that when it goes down, it comes back up again.
Yeah.
And we knew that it was going to do that. So I kept telling them, just do this now, because once it opens, the floodgates are going to open. People are going to want to celebrate and celebrate hard. And I really even underestimated how much they'd want to do it. But the people that spent that time learning how to refine their sales process, how to raise their rates, they came out of the gate running, right? They had literally the best years of their career.
Yes.
They made multiple times what everyone else was making, multiple times, right? And I can remember clear as day how many times we had internal calls with my clients, and they were belly aching about the clients that had been, rescheduled multiple times, that they were still serving at their very old rates now, because now they had maybe tripled, quadrupled, 5x their rates.
Yeah.
So they were like, once you learn how to do that, you never look back, and you're like, oh my God, how did I ever charge that like low amount before?
It's crazy, right? I know.
Right? You can't unring the bell. Once you start charging more and you have a process that supports it, and you start seeing results in people booking you at that rate, you can never go back. But this time is opportune, right? This low season that we're in right now is an opportune time for people to get on their dime and get their sales process up and running, and make sure that they're priced appropriately. Because in this industry, it's so unique in that what you charge a customer today, you're not going to get that for upwards of a year, sometimes longer, depending on how far out you book. Right. So you should be charging for 2025, not 2024 or earlier. So you have to take that into account. And so those people that take the time now to do that will make a lot more money. Lot more money, infinitely more.
Yes. When I started my business, the 2008-9 crash happened. Oh. So I was like, okay, I was working my last corporate job. I had done obviously events for many, many years, but I had decided it was slow. I just graduated college. I went to school late in life. And I was like, I think I'm going to start a business. I didn't come from that background. My parents weren't entrepreneurs. They were like, the 9 to 5 and made no
Yeah.
money. And, it was that type of thing. But I was like, I think I'm going to start a business because I had time. It was kind of crazy. I did it just for fun. And it turned out to be a good thing. I got laid off and I negotiated one thing I learned in corporate. I was working for a finance guy, the same as you. He taught me how to negotiate. And I had a legal background. So it was really helpful.
Sure.
I never thought those pieces, and I don't negotiate with my clients. I negotiate with the hotels and I save our clients hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, like just from all the pieces that they don't know about. So, which is very valuable when you're doing corporate and nonprofit and things like that. So, and even with weddings, we save them money from the venues and things like that. But I started the business. It was like one of those things, and I just jumped and networked like crazy and just went berserk doing that. But again, there was nobody out there coaching. There was none of this.
Exactly.
There was none of this. Like podcasts weren't even around. It was not even. Nobody was teaching anybody. I was literally in tears trying to figure it all out. So now there's a lot of coaches, and I think everybody should have a coach and maybe two. It's like,
exactly.
But so yes. So the point is that I started my business when there was, felt like the world was falling apart, right? And then when COVID hit, we went to virtual. So I took all my clients. I met with my AV team and we put a strategy together. I didn't know how to be a virtual producer. I had no idea. I mean, we had done hybrid events for for many years. But that's a piece that I don't even really pay much attention to. The AV team does it. And, I'm producing the event live. So I had to learn how to pivot, that word that we hated so much during that time, and figure out how do I incorporate me as a virtual producer. And so, I was bringing the clients to my AV team and we figured it out. So I would sit in my pajamas and basically work behind the scenes when the event was going on. Not my favorite thing to do. I didn't do any weddings virtual. I know some people were, but I didn't do any of that. They just moved their weddings. A couple eloped, but that's that. But so yes, it's such a good point. And then I also started my coaching program, right? So I spent a lot of money to get into a program that taught me how to create my digital courses because I had the time now. I didn't have it before. And when I'm busy running an event, doing events, running the event business, there wasn't time. So it's such a good thing is take a look at your marketing, take a look what you're doing with your business and spend some time. Every time I've spent money, I've made money.
Yep.
Every single time. Now it might not have been what I thought I was going to get out of it, but there's always something good that came out of the people I met or the tips I learned or even
absolutely
right. So even it's just a couple nuggets. I've always, gotten something other than I thought that I was going to get. Right.
Yeah. And especially from a mindset perspective, just to kind of circle back to that, like if you tell yourself, if you go into it with, let's see what kind of ROI I can get from this, your brain is a solution seeking mechanism. So it's going to look for the ROI for that, which is one of the reasons why I love doing what I do, because you will get an ROI for life. There's almost nothing you can learn today that will give you an ROI for life, but learning how to sell yourself, how to communicate your value, how to connect with people, that will pay you for life. And that's the best ROI ever.
Exactly. Okay. So penny pinchers and ghosting clients are common frustrations, especially when you're trying to move up market. What advice do you give people dealing with these challenges at a high price point?
Yeah. So penny pinchers, I think the common misconception is that people are cheap. If you go look in all the Facebook groups, they're all complaining about people are cheap. But the problem is that nobody knows really how to sell. So when you don't communicate your value, you force your client to make a decision on price, period. And because the majority of people don't know how to sell, you're gonna come back thinking, oh, they're penny pinchers, right? Or they're just cheap. That's not the case. If you learn how to sell your value better, you can turn even the penniest pinching people into good paying clients. And I know this because I've been doing this for 10 years and I collect feedback from my clients constantly. So I have 10 years of feedback. Plus what I teach is what I used in my own career to book over 25 million in sales. So it's vetted. We know this works.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember one of my clients in particular she was actually brand new, a brand new planner outside of Chicago, wasn't charging much at all, was getting leads from Thumbtack, right? That's not generally known for luxury clients.
Right.
And she said, even with your free tools that you were teaching, I was able to turn, in her words, like the price shoppiest client into a higher paying client that literally paid me, like booked on the spot, right? So it can happen so much faster when you learn how to communicate your value. So that's why I harp on it so much, because it's the biggest thing that you can learn.
No, it's so true. That changed me when I learned how to communicate and, not just be confident in what I was doing. That was everything.
Right. Yeah. And once you learn how to do that and you have a process that works and you see that it works and you're booking clients, maybe at your top packages that you hadn't booked before, or you're booking them on the spot where you hadn't before, that's what's going to allow you to then continuously raise your rates. But if you're not booking your top package consistently now, you're going to be stuck at those rates. And that's why the sales piece is so important, as opposed to, for example, just getting more leads. Because if you just get more leads, that means you still have to do a ton of sales calls. You're still booking the same rate that you were booking before, and you're not learning to elevate your value. So the only way to grow is to get more and more and more leads every year than the year before. And at some point you max out. And we know from like 2022 that you don't want to max out, because a lot of people left the industry because of that.
Yeah. So the big question is going to be then, Maria, how do I get leads?
How do I get leads? Well, my philosophy is do better with the ones you're already getting, because most people are already getting leads, but they're not good at converting them. So number one, focus on what's already in front of your door to do that. But number two, there's a million trillion ways to get leads, right? That's marketing, and marketing is a very wide topic.
Yeah.
But some of the ways that my clients get leads is they know when they're in, say, for example, our community, a community that is not free to enter and that has a higher barrier to entry. And what that means is that people that are in our community are serious. They're not part-timers. They're not beginners. They're elevated. They have big goals. And when to your point earlier, when you're surrounding yourself with people that are doing big things, it becomes so much more possible for you too, because that social proof is more powerful than anything that I can teach you, that you can teach your clients. And that's why the value of that community is so high, because it really spurs you into action, and it helps you see more value in yourself and helps you dream bigger. It helps you think bigger, because you can see somebody that looks just like you that makes this goal that you thought was impossible. It's really important to see that social proof, especially, one of the things we do a lot and I do it for multiple reasons. One, it's a safe space, but two, I know from a mindset perspective, what you celebrate multiplies. So I encourage my clients to really come into our group and celebrate every win. It could be a win that you booked a huge client. It could be a win that you said no to a client, right? That you knew wasn't a good fit. And that was a big deal for you, because before you would have taken them and they would have been, a problem child. But we want to celebrate those wins, because when you see, for example, my client booked a $75,000 client, then you can start to see, oh my gosh, I'm charging 8 or 10 or 12. Oh my gosh, there's so much more room to go.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much more possible. And I want them to see that social proof. That's the most powerful thing for humans, is social proof. Yeah. And I want them to see that.
Yeah. You cannot be afraid. Listen, even though I've been in this forever, I can give advice till the cows come home. I feel like every now, I do learn nuggets. The point is always educate yourself. I don't care how long you've been in it. Things change. The industry changes. I was just at the Event Planners Expo, which is here in New York. I started with them when they went back. I've talked at I've been a speaker at their events. I'm an influencer for them. I help market. And I just sat back and I was like, gosh, I'm one of the old timers now. And I was just watching and listening to, I could be on the stage and talk about every single thing that they were all talking about, except that the keynote speakers were really awesome. David Stark was up there and he's amazing. And he showed his work and everybody was in awe. And, I've been lucky enough to work with him. So they're just amazing watching, but it's so exciting to see the older generation now or the younger generation and how things are changing. And you need to be, because your clients are going to be that younger generation.
Absolutely.
So it's really kind of need, but the point is also the education piece is I'm in communities where I'm going to ask questions. I want to learn because I am up leveling my wedding industry and trying to, moving more into a higher end. And so, but I need to learn, how do I deal with those kind of clients? What are the things that I need to know when I have those clients, right?
Yes.
And your systems need to be different. You need to operate at a whole nother level.
Absolutely.
So I want to make sure that I'm doing that. And I don't have the time to mess it up. So I'm not 20, right?
Yes. And that's the other thing.
Or the money to mess it up.
Exactly. So people that are higher budgets or more experienced like you are, time is more important to them than money, right? Because time is money. So you want it to net it out. And at your level, what you're charging for a client, if you go into, say, if you work with a coach or you're in a program, et cetera, one little nugget can change your ability to book another client. And a client to you might be worth $50,000, $100,000, whereas to somebody else, it might be worth $5,000.
Right.
But at your level, no, not everything is new and you're not going to learn, 30 million things from every educator, but that one thing could be worth a lot of money to you and can change your ability to book more clients after that.
It's so true.
And the people that you're meeting.
Yep. And proof of that is last December, because I always December, I don't have the events, which is so weird. People think I always have like parties and things.
Right.
But every December, I kind of look at my marketing and look at my business and take a look at everything. And I watch webinars and I'm always on all the things that, people are paying attention to. So I was on one and I happened to just join this luxury wedding coach, right? I got on the coaching thing. I didn't think I would, but I was like, you know what? I think I need this. So I joined. And I think it was like $5,000. And no sooner, it feels like when you put yourself in the place, like when you're in it, you manifest.
Yes.
It just happens. And sure enough, 2 wedding clients came in. And what I learned was I changed my pricing from a flat rate to a percentage.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn, I'm still learning, what does that look like? How do I do percentage, right? Because you're doing percentage along the way. It's not just like a one-time, here's our fees. And, so I immediately made more money because I'm doing a percentage of the budget.
Love it.
There's a lot of tricks to that. So I learned that right away. I've already made my money back and it was within, I don't know, a few months. She doesn't even know that. I probably should tell her. I just realized that myself while we were talking about that. But it's true. It's like you changed, I changed my pricing. It was a little scary because I'm so, I got it down, right? I got it down. But I think, the wedding industry is different than the nonprofits and the corporate and all of that. So, so such good stuff. Okay. So the point is, you guys get into the groups where you don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
Absolutely not.
You want to learn from those people. And I do the same thing. I'm, and sometimes I feel like, oh, I hope this is not a stupid question. I see the same feeling, although I probably, I know a lot of stuff, but it doesn't matter. That's what you're there for, to learn. Yeah. Okay. So why is focusing on converting existing leads more powerful than constantly chasing new ones, especially when trying to move up market during a slow season?
Yeah. So we touched on this a little bit. So if you get more and more leads, in order to grow, if you do nothing else differently, you're going to have to get more leads every year, year after year. So if you get 100 this year, you're going to have to get 200 next year and 300 the year after. And I don't know about you, but I don't even want to do that many sales calls. So one of the things that I like to show my clients, because I'm such a numbers geek, it literally is math, right? It's the fun math, because I show them how if you take, let's just say for sake of argument, and I worked through the numbers like in a webinar I recently did just to show people like where the numbers fall. But when you learn how to sell better, right? Not only will you book a higher percentage of the leads that you get. So let's say your booking rate was 40%, maybe you book it at 60 or 70%, right? That's already a 50% increase just because you learned how to book more of those clients. When you communicate more value, you're going to be selling your bigger packages for those people that have packages. Instead of their base package, you'll be selling your middle. Instead of your middle, you'll be selling your top. Those packages might be double what the other package below them is. So now you just booked 50% more of the leads, and you're booking your bigger packages, which could be double, right? So now we're at maybe 3 times what you were booking. And if you learn how to communicate value, you raise your rates. Right? And you have a good sales process, you raise your rates. That's where my clients double, triple, quadruple their rates, because they know how and they can, and they have a process behind it, and they have the steps to communicate their value. That's how you 5x, 10x your revenues. It's math, right? And that's without getting a single additional lead. And the key is you're increasing your average sale. You're increasing what you can sell at. And once you have a good sales process, there's literally no limit to what you can charge, because I can show you clients that are charging what most of us would think is outrageous amounts of money, because there's a buyer for every price point.
I know many of them. And that's
I have a client that's a stationer that booked, I think after all was said and done, he made $120,000 for maybe 100 save the dates and birthday invitations. They weren't even wedding.
Wow.
So there's a price point for every buyer. Once you know that, then there's no limit to what you can charge, right? And that is empowerment beyond what, anything else I can think of. You are empowered to charge whatever you like. That's nirvana.
Yeah, it's great. It's exciting. I get excited, when I'm okay, let's just see. It's kind of a challenge. So I love that. For those hesitating to invest in sales training while trying to move into the next level or luxury market, what's the long-term benefit of taking action now rather than waiting?
It's simple. The sooner you do it, the sooner you make more money, period. I can overcomplicate it, but the sooner you learn it, the sooner you book more of those inquiries, the sooner you book bigger packages, the sooner you raise your rates, the sooner you make more money, period.
Yep. And I'm telling you, I swear, a lot of it, I go on my gut, which is usually 100% of the time, right? If I'm talking to someone and there is a reason why I'm talking to someone about hiring them to help me with whether it's my SEO or whatever it is, which is why it's very important for you to also be educated in all kinds of areas. When you run a business, you kind of have to be, so that you kind of know, all right, they do know what they're talking about. I need to know a little bit about what I need.
Exactly.
Right? So, but I always get a return on my money. Like I can't really say over the 15 years that I've spent money, and I've spent a lot. Because the more you make, the more you spend, and then you do a coaching program, and that's a whole team in itself. And like, oh boy, be careful what you wish for type of things, right? So, but I've always got a return on it. So you have to look at it that way. You have to put money into your business to make money.
Absolutely. And the people that do it they don't wait for the right time, they make the right time, right? So they don't act the way the masses act, where other people are, worried or waiting it out because this is the downtime. Other people are doing things to get themselves ready. And that's also the value of being in a room full of people that are doing things that you aspire to do, that are, higher than you in terms of what you're looking to achieve, because that's going to drive you. You're going to learn how people think that are successful. You're going to learn what they do. there's so much value to being in the room with people that are at a level that you're not yet at, because you're going to see how they think differently, how they act differently, how they do things differently. They do not follow the masses, right? And it's important for you to learn that. And you don't always learn it with all the free stuff that's out there. And I love that there is free stuff, but
a ton of it. Yeah.
It doesn't give you. And what I try to teach my clients, it's very meta in that I teach them, don't ask for discounts, right, in your personal life or in your business life, because then you're going to attract clients that ask for discounts, right? Don't sit on the fence with decisions, because you'll invite other, clients to sit on the fence, and you don't want that in your business, right? So I teach them how to act in a way that will be congruent with the types of clients that they want to attract and with the types of goals that they want to achieve. So you have to invest. You have to do things differently. You have to get uncomfortable. And we are hardwired to stay comfortable. That's what our bodies are designed to do. That's how we survive.
Right.
But the only way that you get to that next level is if you make yourself uncomfortable and you do things that will get you to that next level. And that's investing in yourself, investing in your sales, investing in the people that you have around you.
Yeah. Every time I've done something that I thought I was going to die because I was so uncomfortable. And then it's like when I started my podcast during COVID, I was so afraid to do it. Now I've been on stages. I'm not shy, but I hate being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I just hate I'm the behind the scenes girl. And I was like, but I knew that we needed to bring our community together and find out how are we helping each other. And I knew it was good marketing for me, for my coaching program. I knew the pieces that I needed to do to try. And I just was a nervous wreck every time I start. Now, obviously, I'm like, I love it so much. Yeah. And I that's why I did an interview, because it's easy for me to talk to somebody. I wasn't going to do this by myself.
Right.
So, but, and now it's a piece, once you get past that piece, and I always know that if I am so scared about something good is about to happen.
I love that.
What you said. So
I love it.
Really great. I love this so much. Can you just tell me a little bit about your Irresistible Selling, your ideal client, a little bit about that? So those who might say, gosh, I need to work with Maria, who is your ideal client?
Yep. Awesome. My ideal client are wedding business owners that are ready to really break out of where they're stuck, right? And really get to multi 6 figures, even 7 figures. So I generally don't work with beginners, although there are a couple of outliers, that people that are like, I don't want to learn by trial and error. I want to skip the line. I'm ready to invest. And I love them because I can teach them from the beginning. They're sponges and they do everything I tell them. And then they make a ton of money and they don't have to wait, right? They move up so much faster and they hit their goals. But in general, the people that are attracted to me are people that really want to get to that next level, really want to break into that next level market, have done as much as they can on their own with the other education that they've had, and are really ready to expand what they can do and charge a lot more, right? And it's not just about making more money. It's about having a better quality of life. A lot of my clients are getting to that like 40-ish age range. And they're like, I don't want to work every weekend. I don't want to work at the level that I was working at before. So how can I work, it's cliche, but smarter, not harder. And in our vernacular, that means charge more, work with less, and, make sure that you're bringing in really clients that really light you up.
Right.
And give yourself a business that potentially you could sell down the road.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you've got a sales process that is locked and loaded and you're booking high value clients on the regular, that's a sellable asset.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And to be 40 again. I'm so far gone from that now, but that's okay. I feel like I am. So that's okay. Okay. So I do this little lightning round at the end here, and it's kind of fun. So who is someone who's inspiring you at the moment and why?
Oh gosh. Honestly, my clients inspire me. When I see people that, like, recently I had a client come in that was definitely more of a beginner, but knew that she wanted to hit the luxury market out of the gate. And I was like, I am so with you on that. Like, God bless you. So I love people like that. I love just watching my clients who are doing things differently or who are going through and overcoming some like mindset blocks that have really kept them stuck, that
Right.
really lights me up. And just in general, people that don't follow the norm. Like I love people that break the rules, because I'm by nature like a rule follower. And if I'm being honest, I kind of am. That's my history.
I kind of am too, but sometimes I like to break
But
it.
I get inspired by people who are like, you know what? I know everyone's doing it this way, but I'm going to do it this way. And
Right.
so that always excites me when I see people doing
That's why I love designers and things. I mean, I'm a little bit of a designer because of what I do, but the vendors who are real designers and come up with all this creative stuff, I just admire that so much.
Yeah.
That's great. So what's the best advice you ever received?
Ooh. Well, it would have to be from my boss that we talked about earlier, that he taught me that I didn't have to be your stereotypical salesperson to be successful at selling. Because had I not learned that, I probably would have left software and gone into something else, and I would not be in the position I am today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And you have a whole business around it, right?
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. So what's one piece of advice you'd give to wedding and event planners who are just starting out?
Oh, I love it. So learn how to communicate your value now. The sooner you do it, the more money you'll make, the faster you'll book clients, the more easily you'll book clients, because they'll want to work with you, and they'll work with you quicker, and you won't have to chase them, and you'll just make a lot more money and move up that trajectory so much faster than you ever could by yourself. The whole trial and error thing, I mean, we've all done that to some extent, right? Because you got to start somewhere.
Right.
But the value is really in investing in the right people and the right tools to help you accelerate so much faster.
Best advice. Get a coach, get somebody to help you. I always say that, even though I coach, it's true. I've always had coaches, and it's just super important in life to have that. So thank you so much. How can everybody find you? Where do we find you?
Oh, I love it. You can go to mariabayer.com. On Instagram, I'm mariabayer1. And I have lots of resources that are available. If you click the link in my profile, there's a quiz that you can take that will show you exactly what you need to focus on to get to that next level client. I have a book a client in 5-day challenge, which is free for you to take. So that helps you get low hanging fruit, and a bunch of other resources, a webinar, a bunch of things that you can get for free.
That's great. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out. Thank you so much for doing this. So much value. I can't thank you enough, because I know time is everything, right?
Well, thank you so much, Annette. I'm so pleased and so honored to be here with you today.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. Have a fantastic day.